Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mebois Podcast, episode 19. I'm Josh,
And I'm Ray.
and when was it? 2 days ago, I went and watched a movie in the theaters, The Art of Self-Defense, starring Jesse Eisenberg, not Heisenberg, as I forgot. Um, it was so there's another one of those situations where the I have a movie theater near me, which is pretty small, um, and they tend to put up a bunch of movies that I've never heard of before. I think this one was a little bit wider release than the ones I normally see there, but um, so I was coming out, so I looked at the trailer and I was like, okay. I think actually it played for like the previews when I went to see like Jaws there and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that could be kind of interesting. It's basically a dark comedy um, with like some really specific humor that I don't think everybody likes. Um, I
Is it
definitely liked it.
is it like dry humor or
It's almost like so there's dry humor and then there's like you know how they dry age steak until like it's like growing some mold on it, and there's that kind of humor where it's like turned into something else by being like it's not like witty dry humor. It's like more silly, but not in an obvious way.
okay?
It's hard to explain. Um, but basically, I think it's gotten like middling reception just because like I don't think it's for everybody.
hmm
And there's certainly problems with the movie, but the type of humor that it does, I think the comedy in the movie, a lot of it, I think, comes from you relating to knowing people like the characters in real life.
hmm
Um, so basically, the plot just centers around Jesse Eisenberg, who his name is shoot, I think his name is
Heisenberg.
Casey. Casey is his name,
Okay.
Casey. Um, and as far as like the actual structure of the story, he's just sort of a nervous office worker. And then one night when he goes out to buy dog food, he gets jumped by a couple of thugs on motorcycles. And then after that, what?
It's just like what a surprise! Jesse Eisenberg plays a nervous guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, definitely typecast. Um, I'm just glad to see him not playing
Lex
uh,
Luthor.
Lex Luthor. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lex Luthor.
Um,
Luthor.
um, but yeah, so he gets jumped, and after that, he goes from just being a nervous guy to like basically just staying inside his house. He doesn't want to leave. He's afraid of. Later on, he says basically he's afraid of the dark, um, and because it was night when it happened. So he transforms from that, and basically he uh, discovers that there's I can't remember exactly the events that lead to him discovering it, but there's a karate dojo nearby, and so he decides to watch a class, and he sees them. And he's like, okay, I should probably do this because I want to be able to defend myself. Um, and so that all evolves from there, and the whole movie is basically like the main themes are just like sort of like it's making fun of like toxic masculinity in a good way, I think, because
Okay.
like that gets thrown around a lot, I think, where like people like toxic masculinity, but it's like it's very funny because I think people who aren't or men or masculine can certainly like relate to um just like overly macho characters who go to ridiculous lengths to sort of you know
Prove their
uh,
masculinity.
right, be tough and prove that, and it sort of carries over into the martial arts of it, where like inside of martial arts, it's sort of a boys' club as well, and there's funny things about that as well.
hmm
Um, but the movie plays with that and makes it like there's it's one of those movies where I won't be able to explain any of the jokes. I'm not going to try to, But if you like when you watch them and you see them, they're so fucking fun. Um, and so it's sort of the main theme. I think it really is like playing with like what it is to be a man, and there will certainly be people who will come to you and be like, well, in order to be a man, you have to do this, this, and this. Like his sensei, who eventually learns that he's taking karate because he wants to defend himself against his attackers, starts telling him like, all right, you listen to metal now. Everything's as masculine as possible. He owns like because Jesse Eisenberg, Casey,
Yeah.
he tells him he listens to adult contemporary.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say, let me guess, he listens to jazz or something.
you like jazz? And so his sensei's like, no, you listen to metal now.
That
and
sounds
like,
pretty funny, honestly. That interaction.
yeah, the relationship between them is really funny. And the sensei in the movie, I don't know the actor's name. Actually, I haven't seen him in anything else, I don't think. But he's very funny, and he's the image of this hyper masculinity sort of thing that the movie's making fun of.
Uh-huh.
But he's like a supremely funny character. And like, so Casey wants to go to France, and so he's learning French. But he tells the sensei that, and he's like, no, the French are, people think of weakness, they think of surrendering when they think of French. So you should learn Russian or German. So it's that sort of thing. There's a lot of that. And so like, there's a lot of funny stuff like that. The movie goes in darker directions, but like, it's always sort of comedy focused.
Yeah.
Not like as a comedy. It's a dark comedy. So it's never quite like, it's never really laugh out loud funny except for certain parts, but it's just like things that you would find funny because you can relate to them in like these stupid ways that we interact with each other and things like that. And then the overarching plot does get kind of funny as well, because it's basically sort of like, if you've ever known anybody who is critical of like martial arts or sort of self-defense like that, because they're just like, well, what if they have a gun, or what if I had a gun, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's in a funny way basically the entire plot of this movie. So I'll like briefly spoil something here. Okay. So if anyone's planning to see it, please plug your ears.
I'm planning to see it.
Are you?
I don't know. I don't think for this, like, the plot would really make too much of a difference to how I would watch the movie, honestly.
I don't think so. Well, because like, so I mean, this is spoiler time, but it was very obvious from the beginning the sort of direction it was going. Mm-hmm. Basically, the sensei and his pupils are the bike gang.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, is that the direction?
Yeah. I mean, basically, this guy's a total psychopath, and he goes around with these people and beats people within like an inch of their life, or to death sometimes.
Jesus.
And it's sort of like half like he wants people to want to learn self-defense so he can make money, but it's also partly like sort of like
enjoys it.
Yeah, enjoys it, and then also like the strong should survive, that sort of mentality. But so that's all learned as it goes on, and for a little while, Casey sort of falls into that, and he follows along with him until eventually he discovers some things where he realizes that like this guy's crazy and dangerous, and Casey does some crazy and dangerous things too, but eventually he realizes that he wants to kill this guy. And so the culmination of the movie, at a certain point earlier on, the sensei sort of reminds his pupils that guns are for cowards.
Yeah.
That's like the 11th tenet of the dojo or some shit. Because like they have like 10 rules, and then there's like the 11th one plastered below it is like guns are for cowards. And he talks about his master, sensei's master, who died in a hunting accident because he was shot in the face with a shotgun because someone thought he was a bird. And he repeats that line like several times throughout the movie, like when Master was shot in the face with a shotgun because someone thought he was a bird. But he references multiple times that his master had a technique in which he killed the other grandmasters in unarmed combat to the death by punching a hole through their head with his finger. And he's the only one who's ever known how to do it, and no one can do that. So eventually, when we get to the end of the movie and Casey challenges Sensei because he realizes he wants to kill this guy because this guy's caused him a lot of harm and other people harm. And so he challenges him to unarmed combat to the death. And his sensei says, like, that's a bad idea. I'll kill you. He says, I know. And then so they both, face each other. And then the sensei goes to move in. And then Casey just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head. And it's so perfect because, like, you sort of knew it was coming because earlier in the movie he applied for a gun, but it was like on a waiting period.
Yeah,
you have to like wait for a handgun. Yeah. And so after that is when he started doing karate, but that was his first thing, was to get a handgun.
Right.
So he does that. He shoots his sensei in the head. And then what he does is he dips his finger in the blood in like the hole in his head. And then he confronts the other students in the dojo who weren't there when this happened. It was just the two of them.
Yeah.
But he has this bloody finger and Master's laying there dead on the ground. And he tells them that he's mastered the finger punch technique. And he's killed the sensei. So now he's their sensei, basically. And it's just so funny because you sort of realize, and you sort of knew it all along, sort of, but like you realize, like, oh right, the Grandmaster just shot those guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a really funny movie. Another kind of funny thing is, like, so Casey finds his newfound confidence in karate pretty early on in the movie, and he goes from being a white belt to being a yellow belt, and he wants to be able to wear his belt in normal life, but he feels like, it would look odd if he wore like the ceremonial one. So what he does is he has these leather belts made that are like the color of the belt. So that's funny in itself. But so he gets one for him in yellow, and he shows the sensei, and his sensei's like, wow, I can't believe I haven't thought of that. That's such a great idea. And then he goes, well, in order to buy them, I had to place an order for 50 of them. So I made them for everybody. And so he has a whole bunch of belt types, and he goes, and I even made one custom for you. And he hands his sensei just a black leather belt. Yeah. Because he's a black belt. And his sensei's like, oh my God, wow. It's like, yeah, that basically will tell you, like, if you would be interested in this movie, the fact that he custom ordered a black belt. He also did brown ones for the brown belts, so it's like they're just fucking belts. Oh my God, that was one of my favorite little things in the movie.
That part sounds pretty funny, actually.
But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in there. I mean, the whole thing is sort of like farcical, and you can't take it seriously. I think a lot of stuff could have been done better.
Yeah.
Because, it didn't have to be serious, but a lot of things sort of went a little more silly than I would have liked, especially towards the end.
Right.
But overall, I mean, very good watch, as I wasn't really expecting anything.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds a lot like, maybe not like the, what is it, the other guys? You ever see the other guys? Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
No, I haven't seen it.
Like, it's those kind of movies where it's pretty much regular situations, but the characters are kind of out there.
Yeah.
Or kind of like Life After Beth. Sounds like a better movie.
That's a zombie movie, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying like the comedy is similar to that.
Maybe I can't remember Life After Beth.
I just remember the guy shooting the old woman.
Right. Yeah. So things sort of like yeah. Um, oh man, that reminds me of another movie too. But anyway, let me finish on this one. So anyway, it was funny because so once again it's a small theater, and this was the only showing they were doing that day of this. But um, uh, when I went in, there were only three other people. There was one couple and then one woman who was in like the accessibility seat or whatever in the back. And
Yeah.
by the time we were going, she had already left. So I guess she left sometime during the movie. um, and I think that's sort of the kind of movie it is, where like this place has this bulletin board where people can put up reviews of movies they watch there.
Yeah.
And this movie has a bunch of like F's and C's where people were like, "Oh, I left like halfway through the movie. I just couldn't take it anymore." So I think it's sort of, you'll either like it or you won't, and I think you know pretty quickly if you will like it.
Right. I don't think I've ever left in the middle of a movie.
No, that's what I think. It's kind of funny. Sure. I mean, if you're not enjoying yourself, I guess why not leave? But no, I've never. I mean, I didn't leave during Batman versus Superman. So.
Yeah. Where would
to
you
be fair,
go?
I wasn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I didn't drive.
That was with me and another friend, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who had drive us there. Plus, I was in a comfy leather seat and it was reclined, so if I wanted to, I could just sleep.
Oh yeah, we did have those really comfy seats for that.
Yeah, made the experience better.
You bringing up the people wanting to leave reminds me of how much my aunt hates the Tom Hardy Mad Max movie.
Really?
She despises it so much. She said she almost left. Her and my cousin almost left the movie because they hated it so much.
Really?
Yeah, it was so weird to me, because I don't know. I wasn't expecting much of a plot to begin with the movie.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's just an action fest. It's all cool shots and cool action scenes.
Yeah, I mean the story's not like
the story's kind of dumb.
Look at these sexy maidens.
Yeah.
He wants to take them. Oh, they're escaping this way. We got to protect them. Oh, then this warrior tribe of women. It's just the whole thing is just to have an excuse for cars to blow up and stuff.
Yeah,
and for him to be strapped to the front of a car.
The plot is basically, oh, we gotta get these cars and we gotta hijack these cars and take them out of here. Oh wait, we gotta turn around and go back.
Fucking.
So
if any movie was meant to be called Drive, it would be this, but it's called Mad Max.
I didn't like Drive.
I don't think I watched it.
I wasn't a fan of Drive. I don't know
I
if
have
it was
funny...
like my teenage self, like expecting more action.
Right.
Because it was a very subdued kind of movie.
Yeah, very subdued, quite like Mad Max. They really choose when they want to have their rocket javelins explode. That was a really fun movie-going experience. I have like a funny little story about that.
Mad Max?
Yeah, because I watched that in theaters, which is a cool theater experience. Like some movies get a lot better when you watch it in theaters, and I think Mad Max is one of them.
Yeah, Mad Max is definitely like a theater movie.
Just like the sound and the rumble is so much better.
Yeah.
But I was with my friend who I don't think he was in the Navy yet. Or maybe he was in training. I can't remember. But anyway, he had matched with a girl on some dating app. I don't know if it was Tinder or what. And he wanted me to go with him to some town. I can't even remember where it was, but it was in the state. Because they wanted to like go to the mall or something. And I mean, he was my friend, so I was like, okay, but I really shouldn't have fucking gone because it was weird. So like we get there and either what he didn't tell me or what. I think he just didn't tell me, but like she didn't speak English really.
Where's she from?
a- Um, I I don't know where she was from, but she spoke Spanish.
Okay.
Um, but so like I was like, oh, okay. So not only was I third wheel, and he didn't speak Spanish either. We both just spoke English. Not only was I third wheel, but also I couldn't even speak to this person, so I just had to speak to him the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like a whole weird day, where like we were like at the beach. We were at the beach, but it was cloudy out and disgusting, and we were like the only ones at the beach, and I couldn't speak to this person, and I rode the train hours out here for my friend. But we watched Mad Max Fury Road. And that was probably the best part of the day. I remember when we were leaving. Yeah, we went to her house too. Oh, it was so weird. These memories are just coming back. But when we were leaving her house, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
Me and him were like walking down this dark road, and this car pulls up to us, and like this woman's like, "Hey, you guys need a ride?"
The fuck?
And we're just like, "No, we're okay." But it was weird because like she looked very much like a soccer mom or something, and we were like, "What the fuck was that about?" Oh,
It's the soccer mom.
yeah. But anyway, that's my Mad Max story. Nice. What are you doing?
Dude, the door is so loud on the mic.
The funny thing is, like, he'll like, because he walked out and I closed the door,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel like closing it all the way because it's hot and I got the air conditioner on.
Yeah.
I close it up and then he just walks back in again, lays down. Like, dude. But yeah, speaking of, that'd make more sense if you transition, right?
Speaking of movies,
I
we
heard
saw
you watched
this
a movie.
weekend. So I went and saw the new Child's Play movie. I wasn't necessarily planning on watching it. It was just sort of the movie that was on at that particular time. I was just like, why not? I wasn't really like, I'm not a horror movie fan. And I don't really remember much of the originals.
Mm-hmm.
But I had fun watching it. I thought it was pretty decent considering it's a remake. So yeah, I'd heard good things about the movie, and I had a good time watching it. I thought it was enjoyable. Not scary though.
Right.
Not.
Yeah, that's sort of what I heard.
It's weird though because I think I texted you about it. I figured you'd know more about Chucky than me. Chucky is in the original movie. He's a possessed doll, right? Possessed doll.
Possessed doll. Possessed doll. Yo.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, he's a demon doll, right? So that's one of the things they changed about Chucky in this one, is that he's AI gone wrong.
Oh yeah, they do like the AI approach. They're trying to do the Black Mirror thing.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense. I'll spoil a little bit in the beginning of why Chucky is the doll that fails.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the Chucky, or I guess the Buddy doll, is being assembled in Vietnam, and the guy working on Chucky is abused by his boss. The guy slaps him and he's like, "What are you doing? Stop daydreaming, blah, 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 blah." And the guy
Right.
takes out all of the safety precautions on the doll. Like, he can have violent tendencies, he can do this, do that. He gets rid of all the safety precautions, and then...
Unrealistic.
Yeah. And, like, I don't remember... What was it that made Chucky violent in the originals? Did he feel like he was the friend of the kid?
You put me on the spot, man. It's been a while since I watched it. I can't remember if it was like, wasn't like that some murderer was just killed, and then a murderer's spirit went to him or something. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. So, in this one, basically, because these dolls are designed to be a child's best friend, Chucky feels like he's Andy's best friend. And the whole time he's saying Andy, I keep thinking of Toy Story.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But anyway, like, his first violent tendency is because Andy's cat scratches him. And Chucky, being a doll who loves Andy, is like, oh, this thing hurt you? Let me go fucking choke it.
Kind of like a limited.
Milo!
Milo!
Yeet! And then like a part of the reason why Chucky is so powerful in this movie is because we live in this future where everything is goes through like this one OS, and Chucky is part of that OS, so Chucky can control.
So it was like controlling the house and stuff.
Yeah, so Chucky, in order for your buddy doll to work, you have to upload stuff to the cloud. And so Chucky has like control.
Class.
Yeah, so Chucky has control of that. So there's like things where he can control like Uber cars that have no drivers, things like that. Controls what's on the TV, the thermostat. So like I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that particular plot point, because I feel like that's just stuff we've seen so much of.
Yes.
In terms of this AI going crazy, Black Mirror-esque type thing.
Right. And other things have done it much better.
Yeah. Also, I think I said to you how I don't really buy Aubrey Plaza as a mom.
Right, yeah. That's a bit... I thought it was so weird when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's an odd choice.
Yeah. But Mark Hamill, not Henry Cavill.
Right, because I always mix that up.
He's a good choice for the voice of Chucky.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, now that I know it's Mark Hamill, I think he's done a good bit of voice stuff.
Yeah, he's done like the Joker and stuff for
Right.
some animated Batman shows. He does the maniacal thing pretty well. The kid, I thought, who played Andy was really good.
You got a friend in me.
It was weird because like the first few parts of the movie, I guess the first 20 minutes, where it's like Andy just gets Chucky and they're friends because Andy's kind of a loner, kind of a nerdy boy, only likes playing games on his phone, and he makes
Classic gamer.
right. He befriends this doll and they're having a good time and blah blah blah. So that part I was just like, I thought this was supposed to be a horror movie.
This is just wholesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like the first 20 minutes were super wholesome. It gets really creepy towards the end. Like a lot of it was censored though because I live here. So
Oh, really?
yeah, a lot of the gory stuff, it just sort of cut to, like
Right.
the end of it. I'm just like, wait, no, because some of it I could feel myself like, ooh, this is not gonna be good, and then suddenly it's over.
So, like, is like the rating system different there because of it, or
I think, well, when it comes to blood and gore and sexual things, I think Indonesia is still very. They'll censor it, so. For example, there was this one scene where it's obvious that a huge amount of blood was gonna splurt onto this child. I'm like,
Right.
oh, that'd be cool, but then it just goes to the part where all the blood is already on her face, and I was just like, oh, Well,
Oh, okay. So they can have the blood, but they can't have it.
gushing out.
Right. Okay. Yeah, censorship for that stuff is so weird because there are like very specific things.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like why some movies like are in like black and white because just having the red blood is too much.
Yeah. And
I think that's like for Eraserhead.
Razorhead. I don't know that movie.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not Eraserhead. I think they just did that as a stylistic choice.
Oh. Well,
but I know some movies have done that.
The funny thing is because like these kids, Andy and his friends are watching like violent, gory horror movies, and that's also where Chucky learns about violence.
Okay, yeah.
And then there were like these 80s movies where it's like so gory it's unrealistic almost. It's kind of I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like that. And then you can see like the head is like part of it is missing and things like that. And so none of that they censored, but the stuff from the movie that came from the movie was censored, but the stuff that was on TV from this other movie they were watching wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. The stuff they require to censor is so weird. Although it's kind of funny that the movie's like pushing like a violence on TV causes violence narrative by doing that.
Yeah,
because Chucky learned from the TV.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because it's hard to get away from like, oh, what is this movie trying to say type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is that what they're trying to say, or is it just that they're watching this movie and because Chucky is AI that is learning things, is this just how he learns?
First thing is first. Let's put in perspective. This is a Chucky movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe anything it says. The last Chucky movie I watched, he was smoking weed in some insane asylum.
See, like, didn't the original Chucky movies, they had like some guy with a raspy voice, kind of?
Yeah.
It was, right? I feel like that's why Mark Hamill is a better choice, because in the beginning he has like this soft spoken voice, and then he's just more violent in the end. But the voice is still the same because he's still a doll made for a child.
Goes full Skywalker. Starts milking whatever green alien that was.
Oh yeah, it's the weirdest choice for us.
They'd have to censor that in Indonesia.
But yeah, I don't know. Still a fun movie. I had a good time with it. Oh, this might be a topic, but it's kind of random considering our first two subjects.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that baseball pitcher who died a while back. Not a while back, like a couple weeks ago. So he died during the Angels, basically during their road trip games. They weren't home. And then their first home game back, the Angels...
They won, I believe.
They won 13-0, and it was a no-hitter.
Angels in the outfield.
Right? So, I mean, that's impressive enough. You hear like about how sometimes when a player dies, the team or certain players will come out and do something pretty amazing.
Actually, you wouldn't need Angels in the outfield for a no-hitter because the ball wouldn't go out there.
It could.
Go ahead.
You could have a fly out.
Wait, what counts as a no-hitter? It's just nobody gets on base?
Well, you can walk someone, though.
Okay, you can walk someone.
But there are no hits.
But they can't... Well, there can be hits, but they have to be caught?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
so there could be Angels in the outfield.
Yeah.
Great movie. Go ahead.
So they throw a no-hitter, a combined no-hitter. So it was two pitchers, I think, maybe three.
Mm-hmm.
And the stats behind the no-hitter are pretty crazy. So the no-hitter it happened on July 13th. Sorry, no, it happened on July 12th?
You about to hit me with some conspiracy shit?
No, not conspiracy. So what basically? Let me just look up these stats. I have to pull them up because I'm not gonna remember everything. Here we go. The numerical oddities.
Oh, here we go. They were playing baseball.
Alright. So, there were a lot of numerical coincidences with this no-hitter. So, Tyler Skaggs, the guy who died,
Mm-hmm.
was born July 13th, 1991. In the first inning, the Angels scored 7 runs. And by the end of the game, they had 13 runs. The last combined no-hitter thrown in California was the day Tyler Skaggs was born. And that no-hitter was the 11th no-hitter in the Angels' history, which was the number he wore in high school. July.
Uh-huh.
What else was there? Where is the other stuff? He was number 45. Mike Trout hit a home run, went 454 feet.
It's not quite 45.
454, backwards 454.
Oh my God.
Oh my lord.
I'm sorry, but like, I just. So what does this all mean?
No, it's just the coincidences are crazy.
I mean, coincidences can be crazy when you go looking for them like that.
You know, that's crazy.
These numbers: 45. He hit a home run, 454 feet.
The birthday thing is crazy, though.
I mean, it's certainly a coincidence. That's something. But
There's more. I gotta look for. This one doesn't have all of it. It's cool, Josh.
sounds like when I'm fucking talking to schizophrenics. So like, I have 12 cigarettes left in the pack. 12 o'clock is when I bought it. Where did you take my cigarettes?
All right, I guess we're not gonna use this.
I don't know. It's pretty funny.
All right.
More venting my frustration at like, because like, oh, I mean, maybe they should have it. Maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't say frustration, but just like the kind of people who will take that and just be like, oh, he was playing with them, and, because he was born when the last no hitter, and he was playing with them from heaven. It's like, well, no, it just fucking happened, dude. It's all right.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying that. There are people saying like, "Oh, if you needed more proof that we live in a simulated reality."
But they just watched Chucky. Fucking the AI. I had kind of a weird thing happen. I don't know if you could
Penis. What?
tell you what, it's been happening for a while. So I don't know if you've ever sort of had this happen, but like if you ever you remember somebody in regards to a time and a place, his birthday was on July.
Last
too much
time
to be
I
a
saw it
coincidence.
was 11th grade. Now it's been 11 years.
And I'm trying to profit off his death. Can it really be a coincidence that all these people are trying to get internet points off this man's death?
You know what sucks is the Angels didn't try to get a no-hitter until his death.
I guess he was holding the team back. When your team excels without you. What position did he play?
He was a pitcher.
Well, there you go. Oh, rest in peace, man. But, you know, sometimes you got to step off the mound. He sort of he sort of balked at a life, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, now I really want to include this.
I really don't think we should now.
The fucking estate of Tyler Skaggs.
What a weird name, too.
Well, he didn't deserve to die, Ray.
Fucking Skaggs. Ugh.
Disgusting.
So what's your story?
Okay. Well, it's not really much of a story, but
All right, moving on.
let's reset. I'll take a big sip of water.
Me too.
What are you hitting the vape? Just drinking the vape juice.
Yeah, it's has a water tank.
Yeah.
Really purifies the the vape.
Yeah, the nicotine.
It's an air purifier.
It's like, or like a diffuser, where like it automatically puffs out. Just have that, but a vape.
Ah, yeah, there you go.
So I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Basically, when you have like, when you remember somebody randomly, and it's just sort of like you remember it in the context of a time or a place. That's like some sort of like significant memory or whatever, and it's just sort of random how it happens. So like, I was in bed earlier, and I was laying there like half asleep, and then like I got the same feeling that I had when I had known this girl who I was interested in, and she always liked to go to these what would you call those? Like conferences, basically. So I went to like a couple of conferences with her, and at the end of this one, it was like a technology thing. At the end of this one, there was like there was an after party at this rooftop hotel that had like a bar and everything, and we were overlooking the city or whatever, and she was next to me, whatever. I had my arm around her, and like in that moment, I was like, that was like the best I ever felt around her, and I was like, wow, that's something. And so like I just randomly, when I was laying there early, I remember that feeling, and there comes my dog. And he snapped me right out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I just like I randomly remembered that, but it was weird because it's like I got the same feeling that I had then.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't thought about it, and I wasn't thinking about anything related to it. It just all of a sudden came to me, and then I came, and
Nice.
pretty cool.
What was it you said for the Tyler Skaggs thing? Oh my god.
Oh my god. I don't know. I mean, does that ever happen to you?
Yeah. I think
Which part?
I think so. Especially when you've just like, I'm assuming you just woke up when that happened.
I was sort of in between, like, because I was just trying to sleep for like maybe like an hour or two,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was sort of like drifting in and out.
Right. Yeah, I think. I mean, I can't think of like a particular memory or feeling, but I'm pretty sure it's happened. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I think I'm back in America, just because of like just how the weather might be. It might be a little cooler. I'm just a little thrown off, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not in America.
Oh no.
I get what you're saying though. Yeah.
I'm trying to equate a wound to a country. I'll get there. I don't know. It was just a weird thing. Cause like, I don't know. I feel like that happens to me quite a bit from time to time. Like you'll think about somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, or you'll, like recently I've been thinking about like, you know how, I don't know if it's like this for you. I imagine it would be too. Like your like mental map of places, like say like your where you lived,
Mm-hmm.
or like I don't know your church or whatever. Like your memory for that is really good. You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
I'm not really making a point here.
Like how you have like a good amount of memories from one place rather than another.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I was hoping this would go somewhere, but like
I don't know.
just tears coming down my face. You know how you have a really good memory for architecture and the feelings that you felt.
For architecture? Drinking water. Don't you feel like when you have those memories, it just like throws you off for like the day?
I don't know, Ray. Do I seem thrown off to you? It depends, honestly. Like, I think the closer in time it is to something that, like, the more it throws you off. I don't know. It's sort of like the better the memory, and the clearer the memory, then the more it kind of throws you off because, like, you start thinking about time, and it's like, well, yeah, that was me, but now I'm here, and time passes, and that's kind of weird to think about. And you know, people pass. Rest in peace, Tyler Skaggs. Time passes on. So I don't know. I mean, after like, because that girl, you know, I don't talk to her anymore, and so like immediately after that, you know, you sort of course, you think about those things because it's sort of relevant, and then so that sort of throws you off, but you're already thrown off anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know. It's just such a weird experience to you're not really relevant to just randomly get that feeling again. It's sort of I'm sure some people, even on spirituality, would probably say it's some sort of sign.
Oh yes, it's
My aura is emitting some sort of asbestos. Some sort of toxic
masculinity.
Toxic masculinity, quite like the art of self-defense. This episode's a mess.
We should just go back to talking about Spider-Man. I'm trying to say, like, I get those kinds of feelings, but usually it's more about, I don't know, it's never really been about a person. It's just sort of like I'll get into a mind state. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of when I was in this mind state back at whatever memory it was.
But not about people. Just about how you were feeling.
Kind of, yeah, like sort of what I was thinking at that exact moment. Like freshman year, I was having a problem with, like, I would look in the mirror sometimes and not recognize myself.
Mm.
And that really freaked me out. And then that sort of thing has stopped, but every once in a while, I'll sort of feel like that again. And then
Right, or at least remember that feeling. Sort of
and then I'll remember that feeling. I'm like, oh no, not this.
It's happening, which is the best line ever. So you've got enough going on in your own head.
Going wrong.
You've got enough fucked up in your own head.
Yeah, it's mostly.
Now, was that when you were smoking?
Yeah. Yeah, it got really bad.
Cigarettes, of course.
Yes. It was bad at one point because I was like I was getting afraid to look at myself in the mirror because I'd just be like, I wouldn't want to feel like that was a different person, but it was getting to that point. I was like, oh no.
And like, go ahead.
No, so basically like that issue, it sort of it had to wear down. Basically, it wasn't like a one day it stopped kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember what I was trying to say. Who am I?
Jesus, that was loud. I guess in the same way you could sort of say like, after being around somebody and then not, that sort of wears away as well.
Yeah,
like it's an overtime thing. Although I guess just the weird thing about it was that it just felt so recent.
Mm-hmm.
The way it felt, because it felt a lot like how I remember it.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
As compared to like how I feel about it now. Like thinking about it now, like I understand, what happened and whatever, and I understand that, in that moment I was happy, but it, like, that didn't really mean anything in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But at least in that moment, it was sort of like, well, like, when you talk about not recognizing yourself, do you, in a, you're not talking about in a philosophical, physical, or a mix, or?
You were cutting out, but I think you were asking if it was physical or philosophical.
Right, because that can mean a lot of things.
It was physical.
Mm.
I did not see myself as the person in the mirror physically.
And were you better or worse than the person in the mirror?
Were ye fucking?
Were ye looking for booty? Will you join me, ship? Do you have any mirrors?
Yes.
Huh? I was being the pirate.
Oh.
No, I was being the guy joining the pirate.
I thought you were just genuinely asking if I had mirrors.
Ray, do you have any mirrors? Break them now.
I don't think it was just about it was like about better or worse. I don't know. At the time I was like really reminiscing my childhood for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And then it was just sort of just like, I don't know what
Look
it
at
was.
this dirty man I've become.
It wasn't really necessarily like that. It was just sort of, this person is not who that kid was, or it. I'm fucking this up. This person I'm looking at is not who that kid became, if that makes sense.
Oh shit!
I'm trying to like. It's so hard to like.
This person is not. This person, me, is not who kid became me. But now, not in the mirror. The man in the mirror.
I don't know. It's very. I don't know. I can't formulate words to like describe.
You're stressing me out, Josh.
It's very hard to describe that feeling in that moment, because if I'm honest with you, a lot of my freshman year is a blur.
Mm-hmm.
For
I feel you, bro.
oh
Oh no! Help me! I mean, yeah, feelings in general are hard to describe.
That's our takeaway.
I mean, I think I mean, definitely not exactly the same thing, but sort of in similar ways. Just not really recognizing yourself
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, what you used to be like or what you used to look like, sort of thing.
Right.
I remember like when I'd be riding the train, 'cause I train a lot to school and to work. Especially at night, the windows would be, black or whatever, so you'd see your reflection. And I remember like, sort of like if I was like looking long enough,
Mm-hmm.
like, and sort of unfocus my eyes, sort of like, what was that called? Like, not a trick eye painting, but
Optical illusion.
sort of, I don't know, but sort of like whatever people do to look at those. It sort of was when I was looking at myself and not really focusing, I didn't really recognize myself in that either.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was kind of weird. I don't know, just like speaking of like not recognizing yourself, like, you ever taken a look at a picture of your dick but sideways? We were having a conversation about that at a party a little while ago about.
Sounds like a fun party.
You're telling me. You're telling me I was there. About like
You're
what
telling
the
me
ideal.
I wasn't invited.
You're telling me I can't recognize myself.
You're telling me, but you're not telling me.
You're telling who? Who are you? I'm you, but stronger. That's what you were going through. We were talking about like the ideal like angle or whatever for like sending dick pics. And this was a co-ed conversation.
I think it's the acute angle.
Well, I mean, really, and I mean, you'd hope you'd be obtuse, just so it's like at least you've got like an erection.
What'd you call me?
Right, you're being awfully obtuse. That's you in the mirror, obviously. But yeah, that revealed that I really don't know much about. It has been kind of interesting, just like for this past month. I haven't been working, at least not in the traditional sense. You laughing at me?
You said not in the traditional sense, so I'm just trying to figure out
What a non-traditional form is.
Like, are you trying to say like I don't work.
No, Doc, I don't work. But it has been kind of interesting just to like, I don't know, because at times I do feel sort of unfamiliar with myself just because of, I mean, for a majority of my life, I guess for the entirety of my life, it's been, I've been in school and then I've been at work and both.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is actually the first time where I'm doing neither of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a journey. Certainly, I don't know. I'm not really trying to do that, but
You cut out a journey of what?
I was saying it's certainly not a journey of self-discovery. That, but it's kind of an interesting thing. I feel like this past month I've had to be around myself more than I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start like picking up on like things that annoy you about yourself, or just things you think you should improve on, and things that I probably stuff that I'll probably forget about as soon as I go back. And you also remember like random people from your past. You think about calling them up and doing some non-traditional